Gateway 8 brings a network in. It will accept ArtNet or streaming ACN. There are two protocols you can use on a network to get lighting data from your console to your rig. We've got lots of training sessions at 088.com/training if you want to know the difference between ArtNet streaming ACN. So that comes in, and then Gateway 8 has 8 separate universes out. They don't have to be universes 1 to 8. They can be any universe number you want them to be. Again, DMX and RDM compatible, so if you're using ArtNet into it, it will convert that to DMX and RDM without any problems. To configure these units, we have a few ways to do that. If you're on a network, you could get maybe an iPad, for example, and just log in via the IP address and configure it straight on the iPad or your computer or something like that. But more likely, if you've got a 088 console, like a Flex or a Flex S, you can configure them straight from the console, which makes life much, much easier. So we're going to head over to Edward, who's back in the control room. He's just going to very quickly show you how that works.
Great, thanks very much, John. So yeah, we've got ArtNet enabled here on my Flex console. And then I'm in devices within my setup, and so any ArtNet devices are going to appear in here. And I can indeed see I've got a Gateway 4, and it's got the IP address of that device displayed as well. If I want to, I can go and rename that device. So I can go in, give it a custom name, so if I've got multiple in my venue, I know which is which. I can then go in and configure what ArtNet universe is getting output from which physical port on the device. So I could go and say that output 1 is actually going to be ArtNet universe 10 today, for example. Okay. If I want to as well, I've also got the ability to choose whether a port outputs ArtNet or streaming ACN. And that allows me to use ArtNet for my configuration, but then actually streaming ACN for my DMX data if I wish to. We're now going to head back over to John, who's going to talk a little bit further about Gateway 4.
Thanks, Edward. That's great. So yeah, Edward mentioned Gateway 4 here. This is the third product that completes our new data distribution range. Feature set is very similar to the Gateway 8. It can take ArtNet streaming ACN right in and convert that to DMX and RDM. But its form factor is much smaller, much more versatile. It's got the M10 threads on the back and on the top, so you can rig it on a vertical or a horizontal bar, and it's got the safety point in very similar way to our Alpha Pack here. So they have the same sort of rigging abilities. Gateway 4, like I said, is ArtNet or streaming ACN in. It's got an external power supply, but it's also power over Ethernet. So you can have a single cable coming into it to provide both power and data, meaning your rigs become a lot less cluttered with cables. I said already, streaming ACN, ArtNet, DMX, RDM, but there's one other acronym load of letters that we want you to know about, which is something called LLRP. We think it's the future of configuration. So I said you could configure via an iPad. You saw Edward configure by Xeros. LLRP is going to solve you a lot of problems. Have a watch of this video.
Ever wondered what LLRP stood for? We thought not, but we'll tell you anyway. Devices on an Ethernet network, such as your lighting console, moving light, or Ethernet gateway, use addresses to define what they can and can't talk to. If these addresses are configured incorrectly, devices will have difficulty communicating. But how can you change a device's configuration that you can't talk to? We often just end up looking for the reset button. Introducing LLRP, or Low-Level Recovery Protocol. It's a simple protocol which allows your lighting console to find all the devices on your network, even when they'd normally be considered unreachable. Now they've been found, you can configure their network addresses from your console and talk to them properly. It may not be that interesting, but it is useful.
So as you can see, LLRP is going to be big in the industry. And don't worry about these terms, whether we say DHCP or LLRP. There's a whole load of stuff on the 088 website at 088.com/jargon, where you can revise up on this and beef up on this in terms of understanding. There you'll also find our new online manuals, which, again, you can search through these to find the subjects that you're actually interested in researching and doing more work on.